Welcome to my podcast, Actual Leigh. This is the continuation of last week's conversation. Let's dive right back in.
See, and this is what I like about you, unlike the average American who's just going to go to a resort, sit by the pool, have margaritas or daiquiris, you go on a road trip across California to libraries. And I'm like, okay, this is actually interesting.
Yeah, it was, and the librarians, well, some of the librarians were grumpy, but most of them were really nice. And one of them was he wrote a role-playing book. He showed us a picture of his wall in his house that's like just all role-playing books because that's like his special
Yeah,
interest big
yeah,
time. But he ended up writing a game, and like I looked it up, and there's like conversations about it from people that play it and stuff like that. And I was like, that's cool.
wow.
And yeah, they're just, you know, I think that I've always, as a kid, I think maybe just because I loved going to the library and the librarian was really nice to me, so I've always just kind of had this like really positive, like, oh, librarians are cool, you know.
Yeah,
So that is, I just feel like they do something that isn't like appreciated, and they have like this level of education that I don't think most people realize either. Like you gotta
yeah,
do a lot of school to be a librarian.
yeah. I had a friend when I was in Florida, I had a friend that was a librarian. And yeah, that's I don't know why I'm pointing this way.
Why
That's
not?
north. Florida's over there.
I mean, if you hadn't told us.
I do it all the time. I'm like pointing, like, wait a second. But yeah, I had a friend in Florida, and um, she wasn't the librarian, the person in charge with all that education, but she was well read and, had been to college and enjoyed working at the library.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, I could see that. Like if I could get by on that kind of money,
Yeah.
that would be that would be an enjoyable job.
Yeah, I thought about when my health gets a little more stabilized that I'll see if maybe I can do some volunteering. I thought because the library's like 2 blocks away from me, so I could like walk there.
Oh, nice.
They've probably got some volunteering program that doesn't involve constantly talking to people, um,
Yeah.
that I could do.
And
So,
the main thing is they're just going to want to make sure you're not a skeevy perv and
right, right, yeah. I just won't show up and clown, and we
yeah,
should be
you're
okay.
safe around the kids. I don't know. Some kids might like Glenn. I don't know if these kids have read it.
Yeah, yeah. I had read that the fear of clowns came from that serial killer.
John Wayne
Um,
Gacy. Yeah,
and
that was the only scary clown when I was a kid. And
I
when did he get caught? I was probably in high school when he got caught. That was the only
yeah,
scary clown. And then it came out in what, 86? I'm like 2021.
it was that new of a book, or do you mean, yeah?
The book, the movie was in 1990.
Because I read the book in 1988 when I was 12. I read it twice
Yeah, it
in a
came out in
row.
86.
I had no idea it was that new because the person that somebody gave me the book because I had been like, well, I've read all my mom's Stephen King books, that she had on her bookshelf, and they were like, "Oh, I just finished this. You should." And it was huge. It had 1,128 pages, and I don't know why I remember that, but it was like this
Wasn't as long as
huge.
The Stand, but
Yeah, it was hardcover. It was,
oh yeah.
needless to say, it
So
was
she got
very
it right
well.
when it came out, hardcover.
Yeah, so it was very well used by the time I was done with it. But I like loved that book. I just yeah, I identified with part of it, and then I got experiences from it that I never got to have in real life. So it was like this, and then there was also like once the adult part happened, that gave me hope, so there was like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you know.
But it did kind of wipe out clowns for a generation and their kids.
It's so weird though because it was not a clown.
No, no. An
I
interdimensional being.
I never made the connection with the clown. I know that that was the visual, but it I knew what it was, and so it was not a clown. And
You're
so when
right.
people are like, "Oh, but that clown," I'm like, "But it's not a clown."
Yeah, they just see that character and yeah, they're terrified of clowns now.
Yeah.
When, growing up when I did, even if I didn't have family members that were once in the circus,
Yeah.
I liked going to the circus and I especially liked watching the clowns, like putting pies in
Yes.
each other's face and throwing water on each other. I found that fun. One of them would ride on that little tiny bicycle, or like
I'm
50 of them would be in a Volkswagen.
I'm like gonna f it looks like it's not it's what's the word? Making me blurry, and I don't know why. Like it was fine. Is it still doing it?
Or are you getting some buffering?
No, I look blurry. You're nice and sharp, and then I look blurry in mine.
Oh, yeah.
I just changed my settings and it's still doing it, so
When that happened to me, all I had to do, I had a fingerprint right there on my screen where my camera is. I wiped it off
yeah.
and all of a sudden I was clear again. But yeah,
So,
but I'm a lot smaller than you on my screen. You seeing me full size and you small?
we're the same on mine. Because I don't, yeah. Let me see. I don't, I don't know. I mean, it was fine earlier. I'll try, let me try that.
I didn't notice it until you said that.
I hadn't,
And
it's subtle.
because I took my glasses off, as I usually do on the show.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm fairly blind here. I can't read any of the words on the screen.
yeah. It's all right. It's not really about the, but so I didn't really notice a whole fear of the clown thing where people were talking about it until there was that thing with the people doing the jump scare clown thing in public where they were, I
Yeah,
before that I never really heard every now and again you'd hear about somebody that had like a fear of clowns or a phobia, but it wasn't like popular culture to have a fear of
huh.
clowns. And then when the whole thing where you start hearing these stories about people dressing up like clowns and scaring people, and then all of a sudden it literally felt like it was a fad. Oh, I'm scared of clowns. And I was like,
Yeah. And I did notice that right after the TV miniseries of it,
yeah.
that people who were about 5 years younger than me, and now they've passed it on to their kids,
Hmm.
but like everyone in that age group right there, who are
Yeah.
now what, 54, 55 years old, are like terrified of clowns. Their kids are terrified of clowns. Their kids' are terrified of clowns.
Hmm.
Like it's generational damage.
Right? Yeah.
all because all because he you know the interdimensional being like manifested as whatever you were scared of, and
Right.
so he picked a clown. And Percival was having the same complaint about the monkey. We went to see the monkey, and he's like, basically, I think we recorded a thing on it, but he's like, basically, oh, great. Now they're not only afraid of clowns, they're going to be afraid of toy monkeys.
Right. But there was a story with and the toy monkey was creepy. What was it?
Oh, there was a toy monkey in Poltergeist that was a little bit creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I got a close up shot of one of Percival's eyes, and something's amiss there. I mean,
I mean, all
he
the uranium stuff going on down
they're
there.
uranium, and he's typically intoxicated. He drinks a lot of that Japanese gin. I leave the bottle down here half the time because I don't drink it that much, and he like powers down that Japanese gin. So, and he's a little guy.
Yeah, that's
He's
funny.
like having as many drinks as me when he's like what does he weigh? Like a pound and a half?
Right? You ever hear him under the house playing his cymbals?
No, he kind of, well, he was headed to Tahiti, and you know, that was like the last thing he said, I think, on the show this last season was that he wasn't going back under the house, mate. I'll see you in Tahiti. And I was kind of like, well, you won't see me in Tahiti, but have fun.
Yeah.
So honestly, I don't know when he'll be back. As long as he's back about a week before Halloween when we shoot the season opener.
I just like imagining like the chaos of Percival running around Tahiti and people are just like, we're being haunted by like
Well,
a monkey.
he's had quite a lifetime, he's a lot older than you think. Something happened to him, and he was like, he's like almost as I think he was born around the same time as my mom,
Hmm.
and fought in the war, and like in the 80s, get this, he met Slim Whitman, and he was connected to Slim Whitman. He was like part of Slim Whitman's crew until he had an affair with a lady. Slim was a religious man, and he had an affair with a woman at the church, and it was like this huge scandal. And Slim kicked him out of the house, and he ended up running drugs because nobody gonna suspect a toy monkey of like smuggling drugs across the state line.
He's a monkey of all trades.
Yeah, he literally has done everything. And I have it on good authority that his autobiography is in the works. So
Interesting.
you might see one from me, Murph the Clown. I, I'm still working on the title. I'm kind of leaning towards after the circus, and like telling my life story since the circus, along with flashbacks of the circus.
That would be
And
cool.
yeah, I've seen notes around about things that Percival has done, and yeah, I honestly would be intrigued with reading a book about Percival's life.
Yeah. I would like to get into doing like audiobook voice stuff and just let me know when it comes out and if I've gotten some practice maybe I can do the reading.
That would be awesome. I would love to put out you know, my boss, he Frenchie, he has put out books, um, both that he's written under pen names and other people's books, um, formatted them for uh, Kindle, Kindle for iPad. I've looked at them like they don't look as good on a phone. I think you kind of have to have somebody format it to be in all formats.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a bunch
But
of different formats.
yeah, but they look good on iPad. So I know he's done some of that, and I'm sure he would be happy to publish Percival's book
Yeah.
and my book.
Yeah.
So just a matter of, for me, I'm a I started writing my autobiography, but it's just a matter of having time. That takes a lot of time to sit and remember something and write it in an entertaining way.
Right. Yeah, I did NaNoWriMo one year and just to do the because I always wanted to do it and I was like, I'm gonna prove to myself I can do it. And I did it. And it's, NaNoWriMo's like you got to do 50,000 words within 30 days. And I did 55 and it was just about stuff from my life, but it was like every time I sat down to every day to do it, it used so much energy trying to like
Oh yeah, yeah,
sort of remember and then be cohesive about it and
yeah.
why am I even talking about it and
And
just
and I have to have an outline. I have to sit down and like have a vague idea of where chapters.
Yeah.
goes from here to here. If
Hmm.
I don't have that, I meander off so far that I can't get back.
Yeah. I can't I can't plan in advance if I try to do the chapters. The ADHD will be like, we already did the work, so we're not going to do the rest of it. And I
Yeah,
literally have to create the chaos and then go back and organize it. And it's like,
yeah, yeah.
I'm just like, come on, brain. That's why, like, when I first started doing the podcast, I wanted to do like some informational stuff. And I realized that the only way that information is going to come out of my brain in a cohesive way is if it comes up in conversation where I've got the dopamine. Because if I try to pre-plan it and write it out, my brain will go, we already did the work. We don't want to talk about that. Like
Right,
it,
right.
there's no dopamine anymore. And I was like, all right, I'm I'm gonna have to respect my nature and just kind of go with the chaos and okay,
My
and it
son is struggling with that very thing right now.
yeah,
He's on the spectrum, ADHD,
yeah,
disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. That has toned down quite a bit. He's not quite as volatile as he used to be,
that's
uh,
good.
which I'm glad because that can develop into some pretty nasty things as an adult.
Yeah,
So, uh, but yeah, a lot of ADHD, and that's his main issue right now.
yeah.
He's
I f
high functioning as far as his autism, but the ADHD, like no concept of time at all.
it's dude,
It's
it's
like,
the
Dad, you have
worst.
time to do it. You have time to do it. No, I don't.
Yeah.
I have to
I
get you to Sandy and get to work.
right. I was late to everything my entire life and I could not figure out how to be on time. I couldn't be early. It
Yeah.
didn't, and it just, no matter how hard I tried, it never fucking worked. And when I started taking the meds, I started being on time without trying. And I was
Oh,
like, who am I? I'm in my
yeah.
40s and I'm on time for the first time in my
Yeah.
life, right? And like all of a sudden I started being able to look at what I was doing and having an understanding of how much of the day it was going to take. And I used to just not be able to brain that and it would make me feel so stupid. But my brain could not do the thing. And with the
Yeah.
meds, it's not perfect, but it's like I feel like the meds temper my ADHD just enough that now the autism is more dominant, right? So I
That
have,
could happen to him, but it hasn't so far. He's
yeah.
taken meds, but he's
Well, he's
already
really he's really
we're
young.
about a month into school,
Yeah. And how old
ninth
is he?
grade,
Yeah, ninth grade. Oh, wait.
14.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you wait into puberty. Yeah.
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 So we're about a month into school. He's already in lunch detention for tardies,
Yeah. Oh, I
which is okay because he can work on his schoolwork in lunch detention. And it's a
yeah.
fight to get him to work on it at home because the pills have worn off.
Yep. Yeah, I remember I would show up at school and I was always late and I would my one of my teachers used to make fun of me when I would come in late, be like, "Oh, you're out smoking weed or whatever." And I was like, "Nah, I just
Yeah.
couldn't get here on time. I don't fucking know." Like but
I'm
yeah,
just looking for a how long have we been on here? Sorry,
uh
not
I
trying
don't
to disrupt the flow, but
no, it's okay. I don't remember what time we started and I set it to give me a timestamp, but it didn't. So
oh,
So I'll need to see what sometimes it resets my settings, so I'll just have to check it and see. I did want to do the Patreon Q&A thing. I don't remember
okay.
if I was doing that um before, but it's something I started doing and it just gets
Yeah, I think we
shared.
did.
Yeah, it just gets shared with my patrons. So I have
I mean, I don't have to go, but I
yeah.
need a break if we're going to continue.
Yeah, I gotta go potty. I've just been
Yeah,
kind of like
basically.
I've been cameling it. Let me pause.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
We're
Or
in a
just
meeting now.
yeah.
I'm impressed. I have a new drink for our meeting.
Yeah. It just magically refilled in the last few seconds.
Yeah,
I still have my
I
coffee.
said.
Oh, I keep hitting the microphone. I'm sorry. Um, all right, so let's do this these patron questions. I realized I only put two down instead of three. All right. Um, first one. Would you rather be mega famous, one hit wonder, or fly under the radar?
Um, I've had a small taste of fame, like people didn't know me by name per se, but when you're traveling with an entertainment program like a circus or a play that travels from town to town, you're a little bit famous. And honestly, I kind of miss that. It wasn't so I didn't have to get on Tinder and work my ass off trying to get a date. I didn't have to trick girls into it with snow. you know, there were girls that were kind of following around because you're somewhat famous.
Right. The groupies, the circus groupies.
I kind of miss that.
Oh.
now, now I'm like old and broken and nobody wants me.
Now you got to figure out where the geriatric groupies are hanging out.
Yeah, where am I? Where do I go to yeah, because a clown working at a gas station definitely isn't a good look.
I mean, but that
And
also could be the setup for like a really complex kink. So,
well, if I can ever get Jill on the show, we're going to do it in our uniforms. Mine's hanging right over there. I got my shirt, my name tag says Dermot right there. And we'll do the show. I think I've done the show before. I had to film in the morning one time and I just got off work and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to do the show in my work uniform. So yeah, I think at this point I could go back to at least being a little famous.
Yeah.
I am flying under the radar. Nobody sees me. I got a few solid fans of the show. Um, but yeah, I'd like to make something of this show. I know I'm not going to be like Markiplier famous or anything, but I think eventually I'll find my audience, you
Yeah.
know, by doing the same thing. And people are always telling me, you should do new movies, you should do superhero movies, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm like,
Stay
that's what everyone
authentic.
else is doing.
Right. Stay authentic because then you will find the people that
Right. I'll
like what you're
find my
doing.
audience doing my thing.
Yeah.
I have a vision.
And there are lots of people out there that like those movies and would enjoy it. It's like my shop. It's the same thing. It's like I don't think the stuff I make is bad, but the fact that I haven't sold almost any of it in 3 years, it's because I can't get it in front of the right people, right? It's
Right.
just
It's
yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
that's any of my paintings, anything else that I've done on the side for years. You know,
Yeah.
I had a band that I played with in the summer. you know, in the off season, I would play with this band, and we never went anywhere. We played some bars,
Hmm.
and that was it.
Yeah.
So I but uh, you're still on Twitter,
Hmm.
and I know we're pissing you on off calling it Twitter, but
Everybody I
can
know
I?
calls it
Can,
Twitter.
can I?
I th Like everybody called like most of the people that I like their videos that they're always like I refuse to stop calling it Twitter. It's just like it's a thing.
Well, I'm not going to call it X because X is one of my favorite bands from Los Angeles. um, and nobody would know what I'm talking about. It's
Right.
Twitter with two D's.
Yep.
So you're on there. You see me on there. Since he took over, I used to get a little bit of engagement on there. Never as much as I did on Instagram, but I used to get some engagement on there. And now I can have 5 posts in a row that don't get one single like.
Right.
I can see the views, but I think when people are just like whipping through there and it passes their screen, it counts as a view.
Yep. It does. And that's yeah, I
And
have a lot of stuff that doesn't ever I'll get like 20 views on it and no,
yeah,
but I get more engagement on Twitter than I do on Instagram. Like I it's always been so quiet on Instagram for me. Even with all the clowns and stuff, like I'm really supportive of them and it
huh,
doesn't really come back to me.
mine's
So,
exactly the opposite.
yeah.
Yeah. Because like I'll screenshot my tweets and do a photo dump on Instagram and get, a dozen likes.
Yeah.
And I know that doesn't seem big to anyone who really has followers. I get 600 and some odd. Um, did I hit 500 on YouTube, 500
Nice.
subscribers, after I'm about, in October, I'll start my 7th season.
Yeah. That's
So I'm slowly building followers. I have a core group of people, including you, who watch my shows and comment on them.
yep.
And yeah, I need to do a bunch of reciprocation. I got to tell you what happened. Um, and this doesn't have to be for your Patreon. you can cut us off right here for the
Yeah.
Patreon. um, and now I lost what I was going to say. What were we talking about?
You said you
Views.
need to do reciprocation, but then and then you said
The
I'll tell you
gas
what happened.
station.
Gas station.
So I used I used to have somebody working with me, swing shift working with me until midnight. And then from midnight to 6, I was in there alone. And I could play whatever I want. I could play your podcast over the speakers in the store. So like drunk people coming in to get that last 12 pack.
You hear a couple of nerds talking.
Oh crap. My battery's low.
Uh-oh.
I got to go find my plug, Leigh. Can you pause this? Sorry. Down here and
I was recording once and the person's battery literally died while we were mid-conversation and I left that as the end of the episode with me just
oh.
laughing hysterically. It just cuts out and I just lost it. It was so great.
Yeah, that sometimes it works. But yeah, since I'm kind of blind here, I didn't notice my battery life creeping down.
I mean, you were planning to talk to me. It feels like you should have known you're going to need to have it plugged in. Like,
I should have, but sometimes I'm not that bright.
so,
um,
so you were saying that you used to listen to podcasts and stuff in the middle of the night, but
yeah, like if I wanted to listen to like jazz, because like it'd be like 2 hours, nobody comes in the store.
yeah.
Like I'm there with my book now, and like I could listen to jazz while I read, just can't listen to anything with lyrics.
Right.
But there were nights, where I wanted to rock out. I might put on Black Sabbath or Electric Wizard and rock out in the store, and nobody minds at 3 in the morning with somebody of 4 in the morning, somebody coming in to get a couple of monsters before they go to Somebody coming in to get a couple of energy drinks that start with an M before they go to work.
Is that a forbidden word or?
Well, I just, I'm always fighting, I've lifted up bottles on here and Instagram, not YouTube. Instagram has accused me of like, are you promoting something in this picture? I'm all I wish.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, I drink enough of this scotch that they should be sponsoring me,
Maybe
but
they
they're
can't
not.
afford to. They're like,
So
you like it
all of a
too much.
sudden, here a few months ago, Mrs. Leigh decided that there should be two of us on the premises at all times.
Mm.
Now you think she would have thought that, okay, I'm going to tell you a little story. Mrs. Lee's husband was murdered in an armed robbery at the store.
Ah.
So he's dead. You'd think she'd say, we need two people in the store at all times then. But no,
Hmm.
all of a sudden, out of the blue, just a few months ago, she's like, we're going to have two people in the store at all times. And all of a sudden, I've got a coworker. So
Yeah.
I can't just blast whatever I want over the over the store intercom because I got a coworker like standing right next to me, or they're like they might be trying to watch a show on their phone or something.
Yeah.
And all I need to do is get some headphones, and I just haven't done it.
Yeah.
And then I can catch up on all your episodes. I can catch up on Mormo. I can catch up on all my friends who like watch my show and leave comments.
Yeah.
And that's what I need to do. But that's what happened.
I'm
I all of a
wondering,
sudden have a coworker all night long.
damn it. I'm wondering if her insurance was like,
It
you
could
know,
be. It could have
yeah.
been forced on her
Yeah.
because it had to cut into the profits
Right?
to pay someone else to be there.
Yeah.
When as the nighttime manager, it was just me from midnight to 6 when she came in,
Hmm.
or her son would come in. And, you know, it was really, really fine. I was never like overwhelmed with the amount of people in the store
Right.
between midnight and 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
It got a little busier between 5 and 6, sure,
Eh,
but I could handle it.
some people coming in for coffee and
It really seems like overkill
yeah.
to me,
I
but
just I'm also wondering what the statistics are for having one versus two people deterring uh like a robbery. Like what because there are safety statistics for everything, right? So I'm very curious what those numbers look like.
well, and I'm not supposed to take, you know, I live in Utah and I lived in Florida before. And, I'm far from a conservative like gun nut, but I own guns. I
Hmm.
grew up with guns. So, but we can't have a gun in the store,
Hmm.
you know? So I don't know how much difference it makes. Um, Honestly, her husband was shot by some, nervous, like 16, 17-year-old kid who
Yeah.
shouldn't have had a gun anyway,
Yeah.
and didn't know that you shouldn't, you never put your finger on the trigger until you're ready to shoot
Right.
because
Yeah.
a little twitch can set that thing off.
Exactly.
And so it's a very, but I think you're onto something with the insurance.
Yeah.
Her insurance might have been, or maybe even the oil company that starts with an S. I'll let you guess which one. Maybe they said, hey, you're not flying our flag uh, and leaving somebody alone in a store for
Right.
hours like that. I don't
Yeah.
I don't know what the reasoning was, but all of a sudden I have somebody with me all night.
Right. That's
And
a
it's not one of the cute young girls.
there's there's like
It's
is
some
it
dude
is
who
it
just got out of the
Murph
army or
yeah, it's like Murph the Clown or Murph the Lech.
yeah, on swing shift, up until midnight, sometimes I'm working with one of the cute young girls. College girl, like Sabrina. Not that I'm going to date them, but they're nice to look at when you're working a shit job. But no, I'm working with a guy named Sam, and one night a week with the weekend manager Eddie, and yeah,
Hey,
it's so yeah, yeah, one night a week. There's two managers in the store.
wow. Let me do another question from the I was like, what just dripped on me? It's like
Is
condensation from my nose.
oh, is this what the numbers were?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one was 9. Was it? No. What was the first number you gave me?
14 and
14. Yeah.
25.
Yeah, so this one is the 25. Um, which historical figure do you most identify with?
Do I most identify with? Well, I'm wearing a T-shirt that has the name of one of my heroes on it. um, and yes, he was a TV clown, but you know what? Now I'm a TV clown rather than a circus clown. Um, you know, Obviously a huge inspiration from, Grandpa Willie and Uncle Rolf. Um, but wow, at this point, historical figures. Wow. Because I can talk a lot about people that inspired me to do what I'm doing, like Joe Bob Briggs, as a film critic. And he was inactive. He was just writing books when I started this show.
Hmm.
And now he's back on TV, and I'm glad he's back on TV, and I watched the show. But if he covers a movie that I haven't written up yet, I can't do that movie because he already said everything there is to say about that movie.
Mm.
um, Historical figures. Yeah, I historical figures to me like goes back way back, but um, for me, I didn't just want to be a beatnik when I grew up because of like the stereotypical beatnik on TV.
Hmm.
Like I've read a lot of Burroughs and Kerouac and Diane DePrima and Anne Waldman and beat writers. And you know, there's a part of me that wants to do something as serious as that. Write poetry, you know, drink wine, yeah, maybe I'll wear a beret too. But drink wine and write poetry and lead this bohemian lifestyle. Um, Go out on the road like Jack Kerouac. And yeah, I've taken road trips, but not in the same fashion as that. Not the kind of freedom that they wrote about. And but yeah, to sometimes I want to be a serious artist. Like maybe I should go back to painting. Maybe I should go back to writing poetry. Um, but when it comes right down to it, that that is a lot laboring away by yourself.
Hmm.
And I've really enjoyed on this show doing this. I can still do other things. I can still write a poem if I want to, but I've really enjoyed working with Coop, working with Sabrina, um, talking to you online, and the people that I've met online. And so I feel like this is what I should be doing. And let's face it, there aren't really historical figures in YouTube.
Yeah, not yet.
For me, as
Yeah.
an old man, YouTube is too new of a thing to
Hmm.
have historical figures.
Right.
Yes, there are big YouTubers. There are ones that go back, 30 years or whatever. 30 years to me is not historical. That's the
No.
90s. The 90s honestly seems like 5 years ago to me.
Right.
I don't know if you have that same thing too. So, yeah, historical figure. Um, yeah, I got to go with the beatniks that I wanted to be when I grow up.
Yeah. You're just doing your own modern interpretation of that.
But yeah, I definitely am kind of doing my own thing
Yeah.
and not buying into consumerism and rejecting kind of all the same things they did.
Hmm.
And yeah, I drink more cocktails and less wine than they did. I do like wine, but
Yeah. I mean, wine, I've always felt like part of why wine was popular in certain circles is because the winemakers themselves are considered artists. And it isn't
yeah,
that
yeah,
isn't that true for like scotch and other types of alcohol as well, that there are people that just kind of that's their special interest and it's kind of an art for
yeah,
them. So
yeah.
it's like,
And I mean, yeah, I still really enjoy a red wine, and I definitely like making cocktails that have wine in them. Port wine or sangria in the summer. I like to make cocktails with sangria. I got to show you what I don't know if this will flag you as like I got these wine bottles.
oh, it's a pretty.
This
Yeah.
one Freak Show, and I follow this wine company on Instagram. This one has kind of a strong man.
Mm-hmm.
I
That was
bought
really
these
cool.
I bought these just for the label.
Yeah. So
I'm not
I
going to drink them. I've heard
interest
they're good. I've heard they're good, but I bought those just for the
for the
circus
art.
style labels,
Yeah.
you know. Uh,
When I was younger, because I grew up in the wine country, um, I worked for a company that they would take like art, like the wine bottle art, like from Mondavi or other wineries that contacted them, and etch it onto the glass and then recreate it, like paint, recreate the colors and like paint onto the etching so that you'd have like this really um and so that was like my job. There was somebody, my ex actually did the digital part of it where he created like the stencil and everything, and then there was somebody that used either used it, depending on what they were doing, but they either used like a laser or they used sandblasting to get like stuff on the glass. And then my job was I would color match the labels and then paint them so that they matched the printed label. And then these would go be filled with wine and then put into like events
okay,
like charity stuff and stuff like that. So people would like bid on them and stuff like that. And I haven't actually thought about that job since then. And I've spent my whole adult life being like, I'm not creative, I'm not an artist. And I'm like, how the hell did I, with absolutely no training, sit down and color match by mixing paints perfectly by eye to paint these fucking bottles if I wasn't creative, right? Like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
just never thought
yeah.
about it. And
People talk and talk about color theory, and I was a painter. I can. It was just natural to me to like be able to mix a color. Okay, no, I don't want an update in the middle of your podcast. Something just popped up. Um, Let me get rid of this because I don't want it to start and screw us up. Okay, remind me later. Thank you, computer. Um, yeah, so this goes clear back to grade school when I lived here before. Um, I worked with, or I went to school with some Native American kids who seemed, um, I don't want to generalize, but there's a proclivity toward art and possibly culturally. And I learned a lot about drawing from a kid named Junior, and I learned a lot about colored pencils I started with before I painted from his sister Marita. And that was kind of the foundation of my visual art experience. Oh, what's going on? Sorry. Oh, it's Sunday night. That's my alarm to tell Sabrina to go to bed.
Oh.
She's already in bed. She went to bed early tonight, which is
Ah,
good.
yeah.
So I don't need to message her and tell her to go to bed. So yeah, and I couldn't speak to color theory
Me
even
either.
though I knew it.
Mm.
And that's the same now. I had a friend who was just getting into painting later in life, and he's like, "Yeah, there's this special purple that you use in shadows." And I'm like, "You don't need to buy that. You can make that." And I'm like, whip it up with my acrylic paints, and he's like, "I'll be damned." He thought it was like only a color you could buy. Like, yeah, how could you mix that?
Right.
And I just knew that it was a lot of it was similar to the purple half of your light of your hat.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a lot more white than you think that
Hmm.
goes in there to make that color.
Yeah. I just like, I could always just match it, but I don't, when I learn stuff, I don't want to know the rules.
Right.
So like I just do stuff. And then
That
when
I
I
can't
get,
remember which side of the brain, but that's just one side of your brain can see that.
Mhm. Yeah, and I get really like if I get stuck, I'll go look up the thing I'm stuck on, but I don't want to know more. And the thing that I learned when I started making art, started painting and was like running into issues is that people have a lot of opinions about how things should be done that don't actually matter. That's just how they
Yeah.
do it, and
Yeah.
they think that how they do it is the right way. And I don't, it's like I have to push back against that because I don't like, I'm like, I don't want to do it just because you told me that's the right way to do it. It's like
Yeah.
if that ends up being
And
what works for me, that's what I'll do.
yeah.
But I
And I
don't like the snobbery. I just want to create.
right. I took art classes. I didn't learn much from them. I just took years and developed my own style. And I want to paint a big, like, sofa size painting for my living room up there.
Hmm.
And, I already know I just want to do a painting in my own style with an orange background and the background things just suggested in white lines.
Hmm.
And like I can picture this and I can probably still do it. I have tremors and there's a little bit of an issue there, but the paintbrush is much more forgiving of tremors than say a pen or especially a tattoo gun. I
Yeah.
I have done tattooing before, just on the side, mostly on myself. And the tattoo gun's not forgiving and it doesn't have an eraser, and you can't and you can't always paint over it, you know. I
Right.
can like blank out part of a painting and paint over it, you know,
Yep.
fix it.
Yep.
So I will likely do more paintings. I don't think that will be my main thing. I'm going to do the show as long as people appreciate it.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's 6 people. I don't care if it's 100 people.
Yeah.
If people are appreciating it and talking to me about these movies, like, oh yeah, I saw this when I was a kid, you know, like, and they're going back to revisit them because they saw it on my show, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I don't get like a lot of commentary for the podcast, but people will tell me that they listen to it and it helps them, like they'll listen to it when they're working or whatever, and it's like it helps them
Yeah,
focus or, that kind of thing. I think like I think you're like one of the only people that really comments on YouTube on my episodes. Um,
yeah.
you know, but I do get
And I
like feed.
haven't been lately, but I've listened to a few of them, you know, and like, um, what I like the most about your podcast is that it is kind of just a conversation. You don't always have a lot of notes, and you're just talking to these people, and they're other creatives, a lot
Hmm.
of them. Um, you know, Tyler, I can't remember her last name, but
Yeah, Holmes.
yeah, Tyler Holmes. I've since started following her, you know, because like listening to you guys talk about creativity and the things that you do. And
Hmm.
then also, I've learned so much about various health issues that I would have had no idea even existed,
Yeah.
you know. And how many people do I know, like day to day, that I like work with or whatever, come into the store? How many people do I know that have these same kind of health issues like you do, and like some of your friends that you interview do, that I had no idea even existed, you know?
Hmm.
And so I'm like learning things too.
Okay, sorry, it's like dripping on me.
You can take it off. I, honestly, when I scooch back in my chair here,
Uh-huh.
my vision is so blurry that the nose looked like your mouth, like you had some kind of like Snapchat filter on that was making a funny face, and that your nose was your mouth.
I just dropped it and I, I don't, oh, there it is. Okay. It like tried to escape me. It's like, you will not dry me. That I was like, it was dripping on me. I was like, what's happening? And then I was like, oh, it's the nose. I just, I was so excited to get to wear it and to get to wear my, like, cause I I had to throw out almost all my clowning stuff, right? And this is
Hmm.
the stuff that I've gotten because people have helped me out. They sent me money or they bought me stuff from my
Yeah.
wish list and so that I can start clowning again. And so yeah, it was the first time I got to wear it, but it was like dripping on me.
You know
But
what's funny?
huh,
You're speaking of noses. Since I've been in the off season here, I didn't even put my nose on.
yeah, I was
Look at
wondering
me.
about that.
I did that one time on the show. I just totally forgot to put the red spot on my nose.
I
I
remember
can't
that.
wear a nose like that
Yeah,
and talk. But yeah, I totally forgot to do my little red spot on my nose.
yeah, it happens.
But
But
that's okay.
yeah. You know what I noticed? If you just painted a little bit of a blob on your eyebrows and brought them in, it'll look like two crows looking at each other. And then when you bring your eyebrows together when you're talking, it's kind of like they're talking to each other. So you could just like work with it. They'll look like crows, and then you could do like a little crow show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about your 2 crows. Isn't that one of Tyler's projects?
Right? Yeah, it's like the name of her kind of like her thing, and then she has like the sub projects within it.
Like a
Yeah.
yeah, like a photo page.
Yeah.
Yeah, I follow that too.
Yeah.
So you're bringing a lot of art and things into my life, which I like.
Yeah. The thing that like when I started migrating towards having guests on the podcast, um it wasn't planned. It just ended up being really good for my mental health. But the thing that I realized and sort of reconnected with um, was that everybody's does something. I mean, I know there are people that that's not true, but most people do something in their
Yeah,
life that
yeah,
interests them, right?
yeah,
And and I'm like, I can pretty much talk to anybody. Like when I was younger, that was what I reconnected with by having people on the podcast. Is when I was younger, I left the house a lot more than I do now. And everywhere I went, people would just come up and talk to me.
yeah.
I would be on a bus going across country and I had multiple people's life stories by the time I got off the bus. I was in traffic court and where we had this long ass fucking line to see the judge, and this guy just starts fucking telling me like all this
Oh
stuff,
yeah, yeah,
and it's everywhere. It's just always used to happen to me. And even though like I wasn't like super like social, I really enjoyed that. Like I
yeah,
enjoyed
yeah,
having because like as a kid I would like take the bus somewhere and I would sit there and I would imagine all the people on the bus and I would imagine their lives and imagine that where they were going when they got off the bus because we were connecting at this node on the bus and then everybody goes their own direction. And I love like chasing that and imagining what who's going home to sit in front of the TV with the TV dinner and the other person's sitting at a table and somebody else is playing video games and that kind of thing. And to actually have these strangers come up and like give me this gift of showing me their humanity for those few minutes, right?
yeah,
And that is part of what I like about the podcast is having the opportunity to get to talk to people in that way and get to learn about them because I carry that with me all the time after once I
yeah,
have access to it. But like also I get to share it. And I think there's something very like at the core of like human nature that we want to socialize and we want to relate to each other in a way that isn't somebody just standing on a stage, right?
right, right.
And I,
And
I think we're starting to see social media kind of pushing towards more authentic in some circles because
I mean, that's what I follow. That's what
yeah,
I search out. I want to see people like you that I can like who inspire me. Like when I was in college, I met people, everybody's young and full of like ideas and like learning and like a lot of creatives, and as you get older and like uh, especially once I was thrown into like a job, like people aren't like that.
hmm
And so it's so refreshing to talk somewhat to someone who's creative and like well read and like and wants to can have a conversation about things that okay, sure they don't matter in the big scheme of things. They aren't paying your bills.
right,
But like just to have that conversation, I so missed that from college. And I try to find people now. And that is perhaps why my best friend is a 25-year-old girl who's in college, is because she's still in that stage of like learning and like
being
wanting to
open,
experience things and open.
yeah,
And yeah. And so many of my older friends are like have they don't get what I'm doing, and that's a lot on the dating apps. That's a lot my problem is like, women my age, even your age, women are like, why are you still doing this if you don't make money at it? If you're not successful, why
right,
would you still be why would you do that? Why would you, why aren't your hobbies fishing and riding ATVs and you know, the same thing as my neighbor's husbands.
right. I don't. It's so
I'm like, because I'm not boring, maybe?
yeah. I that whole like the way that people like pressure each other to behave all like the same is fucking weird to me. I don't
Oh, I hate
I've
it.
never been able to be around people like that. But you know, what's interesting is like I've always been a catalyst for stuff and other people. Like whatever I'm into, my enthusiasm is very catching. And so other people will start to get into what I'm into. And like when I was first really into photography, and pretty much I was just I had always had a camera in my hand starting from my teens until my last job that eroded my soul. And literally I was just when I stopped
Yeah.
having the camera, people were like, "What's going on? You don't have the camera in your hand." But pretty much everybody hung out with me would get into photography because of it. I got people into riding motorcycles and stuff. And there was like this acceptance that I got from that. But in my dating life, like getting involved with men, they never could tolerate me having interests or the fact that I was just constantly wanting to do stuff or anything. It's like they were like they wanted me to sit down and fucking watch TV with them. And I'd be like, "You go ahead and do that. I'm getting on my motorcycle. I'll see you tonight."
That's
Like
literally every one of my wives.
I can't, I just
I
like,
need you to sit here and watch Melrose Place with me. Okay, I'm too anxious to do that. I need to create something. I
I could,
cannot sit here and watch Melrose Place.
that you couldn't pay me to watch Melrose Place. I'm not sitting through that shit. Like, I think I've seen like half
If
of
I
an
lived out
episode.
there, I would date you
Oh, the
because I
creative
can sit here
chaos.
and have a conversation with you.
Yeah, we just probably wouldn't sleep very much because we'd be up talking all the time. But like,
I don't
yeah.
care.
But yeah, it's always been like, and I've met men that were like, oh yeah, you know, independent women or whatever. They say that they like this stuff, and then once the relationship's there, it's like they didn't understand the fact that I'm actually going to be interested in other things besides them, and then they don't like it anymore. And I made the mistake of giving up my hobbies when I got married, and it took me a really long
Yeah,
time to like
yeah.
before I got with my ex. I was making music. I was teaching myself keyboard and some other stuff, but I was using this software called Scream Tracker to make music, which I mean, if I had continued with that, there's still iterations of that type of software that makes like incredible music. You know, it
Oh,
was like
yeah,
this DOS-based program. And, you know, I had like, I was doing the photography and stuff, but it was like, I lost like, I lost like that connection with that for years. And then it was like I couldn't, once I had my son, I couldn't figure out how to get back to it. So it's like literally just like the last 3 years that I've started being creative again. And
yeah,
I'm just like I know that like I do a lot of stuff and sometimes I drive myself crazy because there's so many things I want to do and my lifespan's not long enough, but like but like
right?
it's so exciting, right? I'm like I have to keep doing all this stuff and I want to share it. I that's why I hate social media because social media is the only like it's like the primary outlet for sharing, but they took away the social part of it in the last like 10 years or so. And so like you
Yeah,
can't really
yeah,
share the way that we used to be able to. And I'm like, damn it. Because I hate the
yeah,
posting. I hate the social media. It's not fun, but I love the sharing,
yeah, yeah.
you know?
And I'm thankful that I have met um the people that I've met through social media because, if you look, you can find quality people who are doing things and who have a vision and who inspire you creatively.
Yeah.
um, you're one of those people for me who inspire me.
Yeah.
I
It's the
watch
same
what
for
you're
me.
doing and I see what you're doing, and it doesn't matter how many people are watching or commenting. You keep doing it, and that inspires me. And that's what I look for out there. I'm looking for people like you. I don't care about somebody who has like a million viewers. And I have friends who send me videos, from YouTubers who have like millions of followers. And I'm like, I don't care about this shit.
Same.
I really don't care about this shit. Have
Yeah.
you ever watched my show? I've been friends with you for 30 years and you've never watched my show.
But you're sending me other people. There is something where people are drawn to the people who are already successful
Right,
and like they cannot it's really fucking weird to me and I have this like this this like thought in my head that it's still I don't have all the words for, but that it's like part of the trap that I was talking about earlier that we look up to the people that are successful, but we've also been taught to look down on people who are not yet successful,
right.
who are trying to be successful. Never
Even
mind
though they're more likely to become successful
because
than
they're
someone
trying.
who's just copying the successful person.
Yeah, and it's like but and the people that are working on things and just doing things, whether or not they care about success, they are technically more successful just because they're living and they're doing something that feels good while they're alive.
Right.
And and for some reason that's not valued. And I have friends that they're like posting other people's shops and oh, this person makes amazing jewelry and all this stuff, and not once have they like shared my stuff or and I'm like, "Hmm, okay, I'm not gonna say anything, but I noticed it, you know?
Yeah. I notice that, you know, I
Hmm.
have friends in real life who have never watched my show
Yeah,
and they're like sending me stuff. I have other friends that do watch my show,
yeah,
but it seems kind of weird to me that someone I've known for 30 years has never seen a single episode of my show.
yeah. And
And
I
yet
think it's
They watch YouTube all day long.
yep. And I think it's actually pretty common. Like a lot of people talk about that. And I was talking to my friend about this earlier, who has been kind of dealing with social changes because of like some health issues that are very disruptive in his life and he's starting to see his friends differently and I was like I just feel like every stage of our life if it's health issues or we start doing something new that's important to us or whatever it's like we're testing the people in our lives all over again. And we end up losing people for every single change in our life because there's always
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's not gonna.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and for being creative or even being sick, we end up finding new people who are willing to be present or are interested in what we're doing or whatever, and it's interesting because there's not a lot of conversation around sort of the way that our social groups can evolve through life changes. There's sort of this weird expectation that, you should have friends for life. I've never had, I don't, I, that's not ever been a thing for me. But also like our relationships should last forever. That's also very strange because we change and grow
Yeah,
and
yeah.
why do we think that why can't it also be healthy to change and grow? And then when we realize we're no longer benefiting each other that way, separate. Like, why
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
not considered healthy?
I
Like,
have, yeah, I consider it healthy
I do too.
because trying to force a friendship or relationship to last when it's falling apart, when you've drifted apart, is it's toxic. Like
Yeah.
why you do that?
I just think
Um,
I just think sometimes we have things that come into our lives that aren't meant to be forever. And there's this weird romantic notion around permanence that I don't grok like at all. Like it's
it's
just
Hallmark. I blame fucking Hallmark channel.
Hallmark and maybe Christianity. I don't know, but it's it
I'm gonna blame the Hallmark channel.
yeah. It's very odd to me because my life has just been like constant change, and I feel like as a result, even though it sometimes hurts my feelings when people don't show up, I it's not hard for me to just be like, okay, well, they don't
Yeah,
fit anymore.
I don't know if it doesn't, I don't know if it hurts my feelings, but it's like, it just seems weird to me that friends that I have in real life haven't seen a single episode of my show, while complete strangers from clear across the country or clear across the world, even,
Right.
have become my friends through the show.
Yeah. Yeah. But
And I'm
it's,
just like, I'm like, and I have a combination of both. I have new friends. I have one friend who I've been friends with since I was like 10 or 11 years old. He lives in Washington State now, and we still talk. We still send memes to each other every day. He has seen my show,
yeah.
but I don't have a ton of friends. I still talk to a bunch of my high school friends like a couple of times a year, but I don't have many friends that, damn. I mean, how long I've been friends with this guy since 1976.
Yeah.
You were like a year old.
I was born in December of 75, so maybe not. Thank you for listening. Join me next week for the continuation of this conversation. Want to support my creative chaos and get access to exclusive content? Check out my Patreon. Have a great week.